Hello student, let's continue our topic Rise of Independent States in the 18th century. So let's begin with the emergence of new state. Among these states that carved out of the old Mughal provinces, three states start out prominently. These were Bengal, Hyderabad and Awadh. All the three states were founded by the members of the high Mughal nobility. They enjoyed the trust and confidence of the emperor and occupies high mansabdari positions. Bengal. Bengal was one of the most important states to merge as a semi-independent kingdom. Aurangzeb made Murshid Quli Khan the Diwan, the revenue ministers of Bengal. Later, he was appointed as a governor of Bengal, quickly seized all the powers and, in an effort to reduce Mughal Jagirdar to Odisha, he also ordered the reassessment of revenue of Bengal. Revenue was collected in cash with great strictness. In order to revenue in case, many zamindars had to borrow money in bankers and money lenders. Those unable to pay were forced to sell their land to larger zamindar. Thus, a rich and politically active class of big zamindars and bankers arose. The banking house of Fateh Chand, also known as Jagat Seth, merchant of the world, grew very prosperous and powerful. Awadh. Sajid Khan was appointed as a Subedar of Awadh in 1722. Beside being fertile land, Awadh had the advantage of being located an important trade route linking Bengal to northwest India. Awadh was close to Delhi and hence played an important role in Mughal politics. Sajid Khan was given a task of suppressing the revolt of local chief. Sajid Khan's success got him the title of Barham-ul-Mulk, who was responsible to managing the political, financial and military affairs of the province of Awadh. He tried to decrease Mughal influence by reducing the number of Jagirdar appointed by Mughals. He appointed his own loyal servant to weaken position. Sajid Khan improved the economic condition of Awadh by instituting a new revenue settlement. He actions the right to collect revenue to Jagirdar who have to make time-bound payments to the states. So long as they paid up on time, the Jagirdar were free to extract whatever amount they could from cultivate, as the high rates of revenue forced them and the cultivator into clutches of the money lenders. It allowed the new social groups of bankers and money lenders to influence the management of the state's revenue system. Hyderabad. Chinquiz Khan was a powerful Mughal noble who was appointed as a governor of Deccan and was given the title of Nizam-ul-Mulk by Mughal Emperor Farrukhsiyar as the Mughal governors of the Deccan provinces. He gained control over the political and financial administration. taking advantage of storm on Deccan, he gathered powerful in his hand and established the state of Hyderabad. He forced the Mughal emperor to give him the title of Asif Jah, and thus he started Asif Jah dynasty. Asif Jah brought skilled soldier and administrator from the North India who welcomed the new opportunity in the south. Although he was still a servant of the Mughal emperor, he ruled quite independently without seeking any directions from Delhi or facing any interference. Hyderabad was constantly engaged in the struggle against the Marathas. Asif Jah's ambition to control the rich textile producing in area of Coromandel coast were checked by the British. The Nizam's death in 1748 caused a war of succession in Hyderabad and Karnataka. The English and French took opposite this side in the war which ended in the Second Karnataka War. Mysore. Next to Hyderabad, the most important powerful in south is Mysore. In the 18th century, Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan made a very powerful. Hyder Ali became the ruler of Mysore in 1761 and was engaged in the war of Marathas. The Nizam of Hyderabad and the British, he posed great problem to the British in the second war that he fought with them. Tipu Sultan succeeded his father Hyder Ali and fought war against the British. He died heroically defending his kingdom. He was probably the only Indian rulers who understood the true nature of the English trading company. He maintained trade relations with foreign countries. His army was well equipped. Impressed by the French Revolution, he even planted a tree of liberty in his capital. Srirangapatnam. The Rajputs. After the death of Aurangzeb, the Rajput chief tried to establish themselves as independent rulers. Many Rajput kings, particularly those belonging to Jodhpur and Amber, had served under the Mughal with distinction. In return, they were permitted to enjoy considerable autonomy in their Vatan Jagirs, some of them on important posts in this process and became powerful. And for example, Maharaja Ajit Singh of Jodhpur became the governor of Ajmer and Gujarat, and Maharaja Jai Singh, also known as Savai Raja Jai Singh, became the governor of Malwa and Agra. Savai Raja Jai Singh was particularly interested in astronomy and built observatory at Delhi, Jaipur, Ujjain, Varanasi and Mathura. He founded the beautiful city of Jaipur in Rajasthan, which was scientifically planned. This city called Pink City because of many pink colors buildings was here. One of the most spectacular forts of Jaipur, Jaigarh Fort, Victory Fort, is situated on the hilltop. Disunity among the Rajput weakened their power. With the rise of Marathas, the Rajput power declined completely. The Marathas. The Marathas under Shivaji was a great to the Mughal Empire. Shivaji was born in 1627 near Pune. His father was a chief in the court of Sultan of Bijapur. His mother Jizabai had a major influence in his life. He learned horse riding and the art of warfare at a very young age. Being ambitious, he dreamt of building of the Marathas empire. In the 17th century, he organized a band of men who were trained at guerrilla warfare. In guerrilla warfare, the army did not fight face to face, but ambushed the other side suddenly. He used guerrilla tactics to capture the fort. He captured the forts of Torna, Raigad and Purandar. This alarmed the rulers of Bijapur and Mughal and led to a series of concentration in 1674. Shivaji proclaimed himself as rulers of the Marathas and took a title of Chhatrapati. The powerful clan of Marathas hereditary chief called Deshmukh supported Shivaji. Shivaji collected taxes called Chauth and Sar Deshmukh from the rulers he subjected. Chauth was the 1/4 of the revenue and was paid to buy protections from Marathas taxes. Sar Deshmukh was 1/10 of the revenue which Shivaji demanded as the self-proclaimed chief headman of the region. He controlled like Akbar. Shivaji was a good administrator and good conqueror. He was assisted by a group of 8 senior ministers called Asth-Pradhan. The most important among them was the Peshwa or Prime Minister. He was in charge of finances. The Chitnis was in charge of royal correspondence and Lavier the assistance of king matter relating to foreign policy. His kingdom was divided into a number of provinces which are further subdivided into a parganas and villages. The Senapati looked after the army which included infantry, cavalry, artillery and navy. Shivaji died in 1680. After his death, Aurangzeb killed Shivaji's son Sambhaji and captured Sambhaji's influenced son Shahu. Aurangzeb's successor released Shahu, who occupied the Maratha's throne. He rules of the help of Peshwa, Prime Minister. The Peshwa made the Mughal Empire to recognize Shahu as the rightful ruler of Marathas and allow him to collect Chauth and Sar Deshmukh gradually. Peshwa became the real ruler of the Marathas and his past became hereditary. During the course of time, some of the Maratha chiefs like Scindia in Gwalior, Gaikwad in Baroda, Holkar in Indore, Bhosle in Nagpur became powerful and ambitious during Shahu's reign. Satara was the Maratha capital After his death, capital was shifted to Pune under the Peshwa. Marathas developed under a very successful military campaign between 1720 and 1761. The Maratha Empire expanded. Malwa and Gujarat were seized from the Mughal, and Marathas king were recognized as the overlord of the entire Deccan after reaching Delhi in 1737. The frontier of Marathas' dominations expanded into Rajasthan, Punjab, Bengal, and Orissa. But this military campaign also made other rulers hostile towards the Maratha. As a result, they did not support the Marathas in the Third Battle of Panipat. The Sikh. After the death of Guru Gobind Singh in 1708, his followers Banda Bahadur led his struggle against Mughal. He established his own administration and minted coin in the name of Guru Nanak and Guru Gobind Singh. However, Band Bahadur was captured in 1715 and executed in 1760. Mughal control over the Sikh was weakened after the innovations of Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali. The Sikhs expanded their rules and now were organized into 12 political units called misls. Each misl was controlled by chief. The misls were under organization called the Dal Khalsa, which had an elected leaders. The decision taken at periodic meeting of the Dal Khalsa were regarded as Gurmat. The will of the Guru. Around end of the 18th century, the Maharaja Ranjit Singh united the Sikh and established the independent state of Punjab. He established one of the strongest kingdoms, as Nizami was only the second west to the British Asia. Now he employed Hindus, Muslims, and Sikhs in his administration. So long as he alive, the British did not attempt to conquer Punjab. He conquered Kashmir, Peshwa, and Multan. The Jats consolidated their power under the leader Churaman, who acquired control over the territory situated to the west of the city of Delhi. By the 1680, they began dominating the region between the two imperial cities of the Delhi and Agra. For a while, they became the virtual custodians to the city of Agra. Surajmal were the greatest ruler under him. The kingdom of Bharatpur emerged as a strong state under his leadership. The Jat successfully resisted the attack by Ahmad Shah Abdali. The Jat state declined after the death of Surajmal in 1763.